I mean, he's so blatantly stupid. He's a punk, he's a dog, he's a pig, he's a con, a bullshit artist, a mutt who doesn't know what he's talking about, doesn't do his homework, doesn't care, thinks he's gaming society, doesn't pay his taxes. He's an idiot. Colin Powell said it best. He's a national disaster.
The room was loud when Robert De Niro stepped into the light, but it did not stay loud for long. Cameras were rolling, the audience was ready, and everyone expected another polished television moment where applause comes on cue and controversy stays inside the script. But De Niro did not walk out looking for cheers. He walked out like a man carrying years of frustration and finally deciding not to hide it anymore. At first, it looked simple: a famous actor, a live audience, and a political opinion. But within seconds, it became something sharper than celebrity commentary. De Niro looked across the room and spoke about Donald Trump with blunt anger that made people stop moving in their seats. He did not soften the criticism or turn it into comedy. He spoke directly, and the force of it hit the room before anyone knew how to react. The silence came first. That was the part people remembered most.
He's so stupid. Look at the lame, inane things that he said. He's so stupid, he can't even say anything clever or smooth. He's a moron. But he's a scary one. People have to get out and vote and vote and vote and vote. Yeah.
People were deciding whether they had just heard something reckless or something many had been thinking for years but rarely heard said so plainly on television. Then the applause began. At first it was scattered and cautious. Then it grew louder, becoming the sound of a room realizing the moment had crossed from performance into confrontation. De Niro's message was simple. He believed Trump represented something dangerous in public life. He described him as someone who had damaged trust, lowered the tone of leadership, and turned politics into a stage for insult and self-praise. The words were harsh, but the delivery was calm. That contrast made the moment hit harder. He was not shouting for attention. He was speaking like a man who believed the country had watched enough.
I'd like to punch him in the face. This is somebody that we want for president? I don't think so. What I care about is the direction of this country. And what I'm very, very worried about is that it might go in the wrong direction with someone like Donald Trump. If you care about your future, vote for it.
As often happened when a critic touched a nerve, the answer did not begin with policy or facts. It became personal. Trump attacked De Niro's intelligence, relevance, and career. The response was fast, emotional, and sharp. Almost immediately, that reaction became part of the story. Because sometimes the response proves why the criticism landed. The more Trump pushed back, the clearer the contrast became. De Niro's criticism had been direct and brief. Trump's answer became louder, longer, and more focused on the man than the message. In live television, that difference matters. Audiences do not only hear words, they notice posture. They feel timing. They know when someone answers the point and when someone hides behind insults. That was when the room shifted again. The original statement was strong enough to make headlines, but Trump's reaction kept it alive. Clips spread across social media. People replayed the exchange, not only for the language, but for the pattern. One man made a blunt criticism, the other turned the answer into a personal war. Supporters and critics argued over tone. De Niro had gone too far. But one larger question stayed in the center of it all. Why does direct criticism create such a personal reaction? De Niro did not need to keep talking. The response did it for him. That was what made the moment powerful. It was not only about one actor against one politician. It was about how powerful men handle being challenged. It was about whether leadership means absorbing criticism with discipline or firing back at every critic like the whole country is another stage to dominate. For many older Americans watching, the moment carried deeper meaning. They had seen tough politics before. They had watched presidents criticized by newspapers, comedians, activists, and ordinary citizens. Public life had never been gentle. But many still believed leadership required restraint. A president, or anyone asking for that kind of power, should be able to stand in the heat without turning every criticism into a personal fight. That was why De Niro's words reached beyond Hollywood. He was not speaking like a celebrity chasing headlines. He sounded like someone warning that the tone of the country had changed, and that the change carried consequences. When people in power mock, degrade, and attack every opponent, the public square grows smaller. People grow tired. They grow angry. They stop expecting dignity because they no longer see it modeled. Trump's reaction became the second half of the evidence. If the criticism had been wrong, a calm answer could have weakened it. If it had been unfair, discipline could have exposed it. But when the answer becomes another attack, audiences begin to wonder whether the criticism touched something real. In the end, De Niro did not need a long speech to make the room listen. He needed one direct statement and the patience to let the reaction speak for itself, because anger can fill a screen. Insults can dominate headlines. But when people watch closely, they can still tell the difference between a man who is challenged and a man who loses control because the challenge landed.